Now let's move over to Abuja studios where Linda is standing by with more stories. Hello, Linda.
Hello, Melinda. Welcome to Abuja. And so we bring you more details of the appearance of Justice Onoge in court. The suspended Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Walter Onoge, has been granted bail on self-recognition at the Code of Conduct Tribunal. Justice Onoge finally appeared before the tribunal today to answer to the charges bordering on non-declaration of assets after a bench warrant was issued for his arrest by the tribunal. Our correspondent Amaka Okafor reports.
Justice Onoge's convoy enters the premises of the Code of Conduct Tribunal in the company of his lawyers and security operators. He spends another 25 minutes in his vehicle before making his way into the tribunal, where he is greeted with a standing ovation by lawyers in the tribunal. No sooner had they arrived, the chairman of the tribunal signals with the wave of his finger to the dock, insisting that the trial will not commence until the CJN is docked. Mr. Umar also directed the suspended CJN to take a seat in the dock, but the defendant, who was beaming with smiles, politely declined, insisting that he is strong enough to be on his legs for as much as the proceedings will last. The tribunal is asked by the defense counsel, Mr. Chris Uche, to vacate the bench warrant issued against Justice Onoge, a position that was not opposed to by the prosecution. The order is vacated by the chairman on the condition that Justice Onoge makes himself available for trial. He is then directed to take his plea on a 6-count charge of failing to declare his asset, for which he entered a not guilty plea. Thereafter, counsel to Justice Onoge applied for an adjournment in view of the fact that elections will be held between February 16th and March 2nd, when everybody will be busy. Drama, however, ensued when the tribunal chairman unilaterally fixed February 21st as the adjourned date. It took the intervention of the government lawyer and that of the defendant, who confirmed that they have consulted and agreed to March 18th, and the other 2 members of the tribunal for the chairman to move the date. Mr. Umar grudgingly set aside the February 21st date.
We are very, very happy this has happened, because the world will eventually know the truth and know that there is more behind this prosecution.
The arraignment has been taken and the plea of the defender has been taken. So we are adjourned.
The trial has been adjourned to the 11th of March for all applications emanating from both parties in the suit to be taken by the tribunal. Amaka Okafor, Channels Television News.
The Bayelsa International Airport has opened to passenger traffic with an inaugural commercial flight by an Air Peace aircraft from Lagos as the state marks its 7th anniversary. At a formal occasion to celebrate the maiden flight, the state governor, Pt.3 Dixon, said the flight into the 60 billion naira facility signals the beginning of business at the airport. The 3.5-kilometer runway is expected to accommodate aircraft as large as the Boeing 747 freighter.
Aboard this inaugural flight from Lagos to the Bayelsa International Airport in Yenagoa are prominent citizens and some officials of the state. 40 minutes after the Air Peace aircraft taxis into the international airport. A private jet ferrying the state governor, Pt.3 Dixon, his wife and some members of the cabinet also touches down to the admiration of all. For the state government, this is a dream come true. Governor Dixon harps on the fact that Bayelsa is now open to the world.
We are here to commemorate the landing of the first airplane, marking the commencement of business at the only airport in the heartland of the John Nation.
5 years after it all began, the new airport comes at a cost of 60 billion naira, a 3.5-kilometer runway, and a terminal to process 220 passengers.
But airport is not just the runway. You have the apron, or what we call the tarmac. You have the taxiway. You have the terminal building. You have the fire bay. And then you have the administrative blocks. This airport can take a 747, meaning that it's one of the biggest airports in the whole of West African sub-region. The length is 3.5 kilometers, while the width is 45 meters.
For citizens of the state, air connectivity and business has just assumed a new dimension.
Wonderful for all our people in the Niger Delta. For the first time, history is being made. The debut flight into the heartland of the John Nation is here. We are excited. It will improve our tourism, it will improve our travel capacity, it will improve our business exploits.
This is the best gift. And what a remarkable gift it is. Because, 23 years after the creation of this state, this is the first time a plane will be landing in the John Nation. It's a big deal.
The new airport is expected to provide over 2,000 formal and informal jobs for indigenes of the state. The airport has also been declared a free trade zone, not only in the Niger Delta, but also for the Gulf of Guinea. Bayelsa State is hopeful that this will drive better economic development.
And that's all from Abuja. Back to you, Melinda.
Many thanks, Linda. We have more election stories now. In Taraba State, preparations are ongoing, but prospective voters are worried about the seeming delay in the deployment of voting materials to the state. There were initial delays in the arrival and distribution of election materials, which now commenced in most parts of the state. So we can confirm that they have now begun the distribution of those election materials, because earlier there were initial anxieties and fears that voting may not begin as scheduled in the state. They say the delay in the deployment of sensitive materials is a cause of concern to them, and they're appealing to INEC to intervene quickly. And we have more updates from our correspondent in Edo State. Collins Osai has them for us.
The journey started at about 8 a.m. this morning when INEC officials, security operatives, and observers were on ground for sorting. But that did not happen because some of the materials were still not available as at then. Later, at about 6 minutes past 8, I put a call across to the State Resident Electoral Commissioner, Mr. Emmanuel, who told me that the materials are still being expected, especially the collation sheet. He said some of the INEC officials and security operatives are currently at the Benin airport waiting for the arrival collation sheets from Asaba, Delta State. For now, the wait continues, and everyone anticipates this arrival so that they can move on with the distribution of the materials here. From the Central Bank Benin Zonal Office in Benin City, the district capital, Collins Osai, Channel 10.
Nigeria's inflation has just dropped, and Anne has the numbers on businesses.
You first. First Bank.
Thank you, Melinda. Yes, to begin business news tonight with Nigeria's inflation rate has dropped 11.37% year-on-year in the month of January this year from 11.44%, which was recorded in December last year, and that's in line with analyst forecast. The latest data coming from the National Bureau of Statistics shows that food inflation dropped to 13.51% year-on-year. This has been attributed to increases in prices of fish, bread and cereals, vegetables, meat, fruits, yam, and other tubers, oils and fat, soft drinks. The urban inflation dropped to 11.66% year-on-year, while the rural inflation rate dropped to 11.11%. Core inflation stood at 9.9% in the month under review, up by 0.1%, and that's when you compare it with the 9.8% which was recorded in the previous month. Friday's session at the Nigerian Stock Exchange has ended the second trading week in the month of February higher. Total market value rose further by 98 billion naira, and that's above the previous figure yesterday. Teniola Shibowale has the details.
Hello and welcome to the Stock Market Report. The equities market is obviously upbeat a day before Nigerians go to the polls. The all-share index was up by 0.81%, inching towards the 33,000 level, with the equity capitalization still at the 12 trillion naira mark. On the sectorial chart, 3 of the 5 major sectors we track closed in the green, while 2 closed negative. The oil and gas index was the heaviest gainer, up 4.26%, while the industrial goods sector lost the most. Volume and value of transactions were higher compared to Thursday's session at 808.64 million shares, worth over 6 billion naira. And that's it on the Stock Market Report. I'm Teniola Shibowale.
Thanks a lot, Teniola. We'll definitely keep our eyes on what the new week will bring. In the meantime, on the global scene, stock markets across the region have ended today's session with mixed sentiment amid concerns over slowing economic growth in America as investors are waiting for developments from the ongoing U.S.-China trade negotiations in Beijing. Let's see the numbers for today. And that's business news for tonight. I wish you a wonderful weekend ahead. I'm Anne Wilder. Back to you, Melinda.
You first. First Bank.
Many thanks, Anne. The Dangote Foundation is working with GBC Health and the UN Economic Commission for Africa to launch the Africa Business Coalition for Health. Now, this coalition aims to provide finances in addressing health challenges on the continent.
This is the first edition of the Africa Business Health Forum, which is aimed at strengthening partnerships, promoting an ongoing dialogue between the African private and public sectors, and fostering opportunities for the private sector to contribute towards the collective efforts of key stakeholders in strengthening national health systems in Africa. It comes at a special time when healthcare in Africa is a huge burden for government alone to carry.
Governments have played a significant role in the past in making quality healthcare accessible. However, the private sector should also play a vital role in both financing and supporting implementation of national health plan.
Africa has a huge financing gap for the health sector, amounting to $66 billion per annum, while 8 countries, including Nigeria and Cameroon, are said to be below the threshold of indicators of health-stressed countries. This is where the Africa Business Coalition on Health comes in, an initiative led by the Dangote Foundation, a huge investor in humanitarian work around the world. Chairman of the foundation, Aliko Dangote, was represented by his daughter, Halima, at the launch.
My objective and wish for this forum and hereafter is that we leverage the full power of public-private partnerships to ensure that we can help shape and drive a health-centric agenda for Africa's accelerated development.
Other partners say now is the time for the private sector to help make a difference.
An American oil company that does business in Africa. And I asked them, what are you doing in the health space? And they said, we picked an area of Equatorial Guinea, and we had the bold ambition to eradicate malaria from that area. 10 years on, hundreds of millions of dollars thereafter, I believe they almost achieved their goal.
That we have a continent, as we emerge into the 21st century, that is healthy, that is prosperous, and that will ensure that Africa, as it integrates in a healthy and economically robust way.
In addition to the Africa Business Coalition on Healthcare, is the launch of a report on healthcare and economic growth in Africa by the three partners. It details Africa's performance in healthcare between 2000 and 2015.
And coming from our London bureau is Around the World in 5 minutes, but that's after the break. Stay with us.